right, everyone, welcome back to another deep dive with us. You ready for this one? It's a little different, maybe a little unexpected, but trust me, it's going to be fascinating. We're
Hmm.
diving into the business of adult content creation.
Yeah, definitely not your typical business model, right?
Exactly. But that's why we're here. Our listeners are always looking for interesting business models, and this one's just exploding right now.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see how much things have changed in this industry. We're seeing this huge shift away from the traditional ways content was,
Right.
distributed.
Right.
And now it's all about platforms like OnlyFans and Patreon. It's all about these subscription services. It's all about building those direct relationships with fans.
Yeah, the subscription model, it's everywhere these days. But what's really interesting to me is the level of business savvy that's involved in this.
Oh, for sure.
This isn't just about creating content, it's about building a brand. It's a whole empire, really.
Yeah.
One of our sources, actually, they had this amazing example of a creator who built a six-figure business.
Wow.
Targeting a niche audience of, get this, people who love watching others fold laundry. I mean, who knew that was a thing?
That's wild, but that's exactly what makes this so interesting, right? It's not what you'd expect. You have to really think like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have to understand the market research, the branding, think about the legal side of things. It's a whole different ballgame.
So walk me through this. Let's say I'm a creator, just starting out. What's the first thing I need to do?
Well, before you even think about filming anything, before you even pick up a camera, you got to figure out your niche.
Okay.
Who are you trying to reach? What are they looking for? And this is where it gets really interesting. The more specific you can be, the better. Think about those, micro niches within the broader adult content world.
So instead of just like fitness, it's yoga for seniors
Yep.
or something like that.
Exactly. Or instead of just cosplay, maybe it's cosplay inspired by like 1950s pinup girls.
Oh, right. The more specific you are, the easier it is to stand out.
Mm.
There's a lot of people doing this now. You got to
Yeah.
stand out in that market.
Okay, so I've got my niche. What's next? Do I just start pasting videos and hope for the best?
No, not quite. Remember, this is about building a brand. So you need to think about your persona. You need to think about your visual style, your message. What image are you trying to project? What kind of connection are you trying to build?
Right, so it's not just about being, attractive. It's about creating a whole personality.
It's like a character almost,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that character, it needs to be authentic, but it also needs to be carefully crafted. Think about your social media. Think about your website, how you interact with fans. It all contributes to your brand.
Right, right. Okay, I'm starting to see how much thought goes into this. It's not just about turning on a camera and, hoping for the best.
No.
But before I go create my super specific persona and all of that, what about the legal stuff? That seems like a little bit of a minefield.
You're not wrong. It's an area where a lot of creators, they kind of get tripped up. Age verification, that's a huge one.
Right.
Platforms are really cracking down on that. And you absolutely have to make sure that you're compliant. All the rules, regulations, you got to follow them.
Yikes. Okay, noted. But it's not just about following the rules, but you also have to protect your own content. I mean, the internet's notorious for, borrowing content.
Oh, yeah. Let's call it borrowing content without permission.
Exactly.
And that is a constant battle for creators in this space. You got to watermark everything you create. You have to be ready to issue those DMCA takedown notices. If you find your content being shared without your consent, you got to be on top of it.
Wow. So it's like a full-time job just protecting your work.
It can be. It can be. There are tools out there. There are strategies that can make it easier.
Okay.
But honestly, it's worth the effort. The content, that's your intellectual property. You have the right to control how it's used.
Right, right. All right, so we've got the niche. We've got the persona, the legal stuff. What am I missing?
The boring, but oh so important part, finances.
Finances, right, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this is a business, and I'll admit I haven't really thought about the nitty-gritty of things like taxes and bank accounts and all of that.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in the creative side,
Right.
but the financial side, it's just as important, if not more so, especially if you want to make this, like a real career, a sustainable career.
Okay, so let's break it down. What are like some of the key things that creators need to be thinking about when it comes to money?
Well, first and foremost, you got to treat this like a real business.
Okay.
That means separate bank accounts
Okay.
for your income and your expenses.
Yeah.
It might seem like a hassle, but trust me,
Right.
it'll save you a lot of headaches down the road.
So it's not just about, keeping things organized. It's also about looking professional when you're dealing with clients or even the tax man.
Right. Exactly. And it makes tracking your income and expenses so much easier,
Right.
which is crucial for things like budgeting and taxes.
Yeah.
And speaking of budgeting, you can't just, wing it in this business. You really got to have a clear understanding of your income streams, your expenses. What are your profit margins looking like?
So what kind of expenses are we talking about here? Beyond, the obvious stuff like equipment and software,
Yeah.
are there other like hidden costs that creators need to factor in?
Oh, absolutely. One of the biggest ones is platform fees.
Right.
Platforms like OnlyFans, Patreon, they take a cut.
Right.
So you
No.
need to factor that into your pricing.
Okay.
Then there's marketing costs. You might need to invest in advertising, promotion, get your content seen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's starting to sound like a real balancing act, managing all these different costs while still, making a profit.
Oh, it definitely is. And that's where working with a financial advisor or a tax professional, someone who understands, the ins and outs of this industry,
Okay.
they can be super valuable. They can help you navigate like the complex world of taxes, deductions, even things like setting up retirement accounts.
Whoa, retirement accounts? I never would have thought about that.
Yeah, it's thinking long term.
It really does change your perspective when you start thinking about this as like a long-term career, not just a side hustle.
Exactly. And I think that's the mindset shift that separates, successful creators from those who might struggle. It's building a sustainable business.
Yeah, not just chasing, the quick cash.
Exactly.
So it's not just about creating amazing content. It's about being a savvy entrepreneur. You got to be a master marketer. You got to be a financial whiz.
All rolled into one.
No pressure, right?
Well, a little bit of pressure, but that's what makes it exciting. And honestly, it's incredibly rewarding to see your hard work pay off. Not just, financially, but also in terms of building that community and connecting with people who appreciate your content.
Yeah, speaking of community, let's talk about how creators go beyond just posting content. How do they build those real, like, lasting relationships with their fans?
Oh, that's where the magic happens. It's about being present. It's about being responsive. It's about being authentic in your interactions.
Okay.
Responding to comments, engaging in those private messages, hosting those Q&A sessions. It's all about making your fans feel seen and heard.
So it's like creating that two-way street
Yeah,
where fans feel like they're part of a conversation, not just passive viewers.
exactly. And that sense of connection, it can lead to greater loyalty. It can lead to higher engagement. And ultimately, that translates to increased revenue for the creator.
It's a win-win for everyone involved.
It is.
But let's be honest, engagement takes time, it takes effort. How do creators manage to do it all while still creating new content and, running the business side of things?
It's a juggling act, for sure. But there are strategies that can help.
Yeah.
One thing I see successful creators doing is they leverage the different platforms in strategic ways.
Okay.
So, for example, they might use social media to kind of tease upcoming content
Hmm.
or engage with fans in a more casual way, and then reserve more exclusive content or those personalized interactions for their paid platforms like their OnlyFans or Patreon.
That makes sense. It's like, creating different tiers of access
Exactly.
and engagement. So you're rewarding those who are, truly invested in their content.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the power of exclusive content, which we touched on a little earlier.
Oh, yeah. The VIP treatment. Tell me more about how creators are using that exclusive content to build, that diehard fan base.
Well, one of the most popular tactics is offering that behind-the-scenes access.
Okay.
Fans love to see the real person behind the persona. So things like, behind-the-scenes videos, bloopers, even just those casual vlogs, those can be a big draw.
Yeah, it's like giving them a peek behind the curtain. Exactly.
Making them feel like they're part of the inner circle.
Right. And then you have those personalized interactions. So some creators offer one-on-one video chats, personalized messages. Some even create custom content
Wow.
made specifically for a fan.
That's next level fan service.
It is. And it can be incredibly lucrative. Fans, they're willing to pay a premium for that personalized attention.
It's amazing to see how creative creators are getting with these exclusive offerings. It's like they're building their own little, entertainment empires.
It's really impressive. And it's not just about the money for a lot of these creators. Many of them, they genuinely enjoy connecting with their fans.
Right.
On a deeper level, building that sense of community.
Yeah. It's inspiring to see that, passion, that dedication. But let's be real, this industry It's not without its challenges.
Right.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And those challenges, they go beyond, your typical entrepreneurial hurdles.
Yeah.
We're talking about navigating societal stigma. We're talking about dealing with online harassment
Yeah.
and constantly adapting to the ever-changing rules and regulations of the online world.
It sounds like you need a thick skin
Yeah,
and a whole lot of resilience to make it in this industry.
you definitely do. But for those who are passionate about their work, and committed to building a successful business, it can be an incredibly rewarding path.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from the nitty-gritty of finances to the power of community building and exclusive content. Anything else we need to touch on before we wrap things up?
I think we've hit all the major points.
Okay.
But, one thing I do want to emphasize is that this industry, it's constantly evolving.
Right.
What works today might not work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So creators, they need to be adaptable, willing to learn, always looking for new ways to, innovate, new ways to connect.
It's a fast-paced world.
It is.
But it sounds like it's full of opportunities for those who are, willing to put in the work and embrace the challenge.
Absolutely. Honestly, it's one of the most fascinating and dynamic industries I've ever encountered.
I have to agree with you there. It's been an eye-opening deep dive for me.
Yeah.
But, on that note, I think it's time we wrap things up and give our listeners some final thoughts to chew on. Wow, so we've really gone deep on this one. I mean, who knew there was so much to the business of adult content creation?
It's pretty wild, huh?
Yeah.
More than meets the eye, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of people, they have these preconceived notions about this whole industry, but what we've uncovered here, it's a world of, these savvy entrepreneurs, innovative marketing, dedicated communities.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm impressed. The level of strategy, the financial planning, the legal stuff. It's like these creators are running, mini empires.
That's a great way to put it, mini empires.
Oh,
And don't forget the resilience it takes,
It's not easy. They're dealing with unique challenges, not just, from a business perspective, societal stigma, online harassment. It's a lot.
It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. But, it does seem like the rewards can be pretty significant. I mean, financially, but also like creative freedom, building a loyal fan base. It's a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of rewards, one of the things that really stuck with me during this whole deep dive is the power of community in this industry. It's not just a transactional thing.
Right.
Between creator and fan, it's a two-way street. It's built on respect, shared interests, a genuine connection.
Yeah, it's like they're building their own little worlds online, and fans are invited to be a part of it. And then those who, choose to go all in, those super fans, they get access to even more.
Right.
Behind-the-scenes stuff, the personalized interactions. It's a lot.
It is. Exclusive content, the tiered subscriptions. It's a fascinating model. It really shows the power of giving your audience what they want, and more importantly, what they're willing to pay for. Smart business. But it's also about nurturing those relationships, rewarding loyalty. And I think that's something we can all learn from, regardless of what industry we're in.
Absolutely. Building those relationships is crucial for any business to be successful. And, these creators, they're masters at it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listener walks away with?
I hope they gain a newfound appreciation for the complexity and the entrepreneurial spirit that really drives this whole adult content creation industry. It's a world that's often misjudged, but I think we've seen there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Well said. And I'd add that it's a testament to the power of the creator economy as a whole. These individuals, they're building businesses, they're fostering communities, they're pushing boundaries in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. They're pioneers in a sense.
I like you.
Shaping the future of online entertainment, shaping the future of entrepreneurship. And they're doing it all on their own terms. Challenging societal norms, paving the way for greater acceptance and understanding.
Yeah. It's a fascinating story. It's an inspiring one, and it's one that we'll continue to follow with interest.
So, to our listener, we leave you with this. Next time you come across someone who, makes a living creating adult content, remember there's a whole world behind that screen. There's business savvy, there's creativity, there's community. It's a world worth understanding, even if it's not a world you choose to enter.
That's a great way to put it. Keep an open mind, stay curious, never underestimate the power of innovation and human connection no matter where you find it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.